Mertailor Fantasea Fin is right for you. Shello humans and mythical creatures, my name is Emelina/Mermaid Zelda, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you've never seen my face before, please consider subscribing after the video is done if you liked what you see. So really quick, if you have no idea what a fantasy fin is, they are 3 different monofins made by the company Mertailor. These monofins are made out of silicone and they have a bunch of different mermaid tail skins that can also go on top of them. I see all the time in the mermaid community people being torn between one tail or the other, one monofin or the other, and I wanted to make this video to maybe make that decision just a little bit easier for you fishies. So I personally have all 3 of the Mertailor Fantasea Fins because I'm weak like that and I just love them. They're so pretty. Like they're my favorite tails that I have right now. And that's saying a lot. So to help you make your decision a little easier, I am going to be comparing all 3 of the fins based on size and weight, price, speed, and overall aesthetics, including the skins that go with the fins as well. So since I have all of the fins, I decided to do a series of little swim tests to just show you how each of the different monofins look on their own and inside of tails, and also what they look like doing a few different tricks and how fast I'm able to swim in each of them. And the results may shock you. So let's start off with the original Fantasea Fin. The original Fantasea Fin is the smallest out of the 3, and it's approximately 26 inches by 27 inches. This fin weighs about 7 to 8 pounds, and these are right from the Mertailor website. So this fin is very lightweight and definitely smaller than the other 2. The Fantasea Fin 2 is in the middle of sizes. It is 30 by 32 inches in size, and it weighs approximately 15 pounds. And then we have the biggest bad boy, the Fantasea Fin 3, which is approximately 32 inches by 36 inches and weighs about 17 to 18 pounds. I wanted to mention that the foot size is actually, it gets bigger depending on the fin. So the foot sizes, it's like small, medium, or large, so you don't get to choose your specific foot size at this time anyways. And my feet, which are about a 6.5, 7 women's, fit the best in the original Fantasea Fin. And then the 2, it's a little looser, but it still works. And 3, again, it's a little looser than the 2, but it still works. If you've got teeny tiny feet, like size 5 or less, your feet are gonna struggle to fit in the Fantasea Fin 3 and 2 just a little bit, but you can always wear scuba socks or even just regular thick socks while you're swimming to make up for that difference. So don't worry about that too much. So think about what kind of size are you wanting for your fin or mermaid tail. I think size and weight is something that you should definitely take into consideration when choosing one of your monofins. The original Fantasea Fin is significantly smaller and lighter than the Fantasea Fin 3 and even the 2. And I know some people are like, bigger the better, and they just want the absolute biggest fluke that is mermaidingly possible, and that is totally okay too. So those are your measurements, your weights to take into consideration when choosing your fin. The next thing we're going to talk about is price, because there is quite a difference between some of the prices. So again, starting off with the original Fantasea Fin, the fin alone goes for $149.95 US dollars. So the original Fantasea Fin is the most cost-effective out of the 3 monofins. Number 2, the Fantasea Fin 2, it costs $235 US dollars. And then for our big boy, the biggest, the Fantasea Fin 3, she costs $260 US dollars. If you aren't from the US, you can easily look up a money converter on Google. Just search USD to whatever your currency is to find out how much that's going to be in your currency. So if all you want is a monofin to swim in, then that is the only price that you need to take into consideration. But there are plenty of beautiful mermaid tail skins that can go on top of these 3 fins, and that is also going to factor in how much money you're going to be spending on one of the Whimsy tails. So back to the original Fantasea Fin, the cheapest that those tails start at is $265 US dollars. and that is for a skin that has no fins added. The most you're gonna spend on a Fantasea Fin original skin at the current time of this recording is $395 US. So if you're looking for a complete mermaid or merman tail, the cheapest you're going to find is $414.95 for an original Fantasea Fin and one of the more basic skins that doesn't have any fins added. And the most expensive tail that you can get is going to be a whopping total of $544.95 for the fin and the skin. I will be putting all of these stats in the description as well if you want to come back and look at them later. I know it's going to be a lot of numbers, but it's okay, it'll be fine. So now on to the Fantasea Fin 2 skins. The cheapest Fantasea Fin 2 skin that you can get is going to cost you $285 US. The most expensive Fantasea Fin 2 skin you can get is $399 US. So if you are looking to buy the monofin and a tail together, the cheapest you can get the two combination is $520 US, and the most that you're going to be able to spend with a more expensive skin and the monofin together is going to be $634 US for the monofin and the skin. And lastly, we have the Fantasea Fin 3 Whimsy tail skins, and the cheapest skin on its own is going to cost you $295 US. The most expensive skin is going to be the same as the most expensive 2 skin, which is $399 US again. So the cheapest possible combination to get the Fantasea Fin 3 and a tail to go with it is going to cost you $555 US. And the most expensive tail that you can possibly get for a Fantasea Fin and a Whimsy tail combination, it's going to cost you $659 US for your Fantasea Fin 3 and the most expensive tail that you can get to go with it. So now we have the prices. So we have the original fin costing the least and the Fantasea Fin 3 costing the most. But with the original Fantasea Fin and tail, the cheapest tail that you can get is going to be $414, whereas the cheapest one for the 3 is going to cost you $555. So that's more than $100 difference depending on which tail and skin you decide to go with. So if you're on a budget and you like the look of the original Fantasea Fin and the skins, then that is definitely going to be the best bang for your buck. You're gonna get the fin and the tail for the least amount of money. But if money is no issue, you have lots and lots of sand dollars, then you can definitely consider going for the Fantasea Fin 3 and one of the most expensive tails, spending close to $700 US for the whole thing in total. Okay, the next category we're going to be looking at is speed. And now this has come up a lot with these fins. When the original Fantasea Fin first came out, I saw a lot of comments from people worrying that they wouldn't be able to swim as fast as they'd like to with that fin. I think people thought that because the size is maybe not as big as they're used to, or it actually seems smaller in photos than it is in real life, as you're gonna see in the videos. But a lot of people were like, oh, this is a pretty fin, but I like to go fast, and I don't know if I can go fast in this fin. And that has come up a lot, even now that there are 2 other fins. People seem to assume that the original Fantasea Fin is the slowest of the 3, and that the bigger the fin, the faster you're gonna go. So I decided that I was going to swim from one rock in my pool to another and back. I did this in all 3 fins and then timed my results. So, drum roll please. In the original Fantasea Fin, it took me 8.94 seconds to swim one way and 8.49 seconds to swim back, for a grand total of 17.43 seconds total. In the Fantasea Fin 2, it took me 9.57 seconds to swim from one rock to the other, and then 9.39 seconds to get back. For a grand total of 18.96 seconds. So it took me longer in the Fantasea Fin 2 than it did in the original. And drum roll for the 3, it took me 9.13 seconds to do my first lap, and 9.3 seconds on my second lap. For a grand total of 18.43 seconds. So yes, from my tests, the original Fantasea Fin is the fastest, then the 3, and then the 2. Now, everybody might have different styles of swimming, which could factor into how quickly you might swim in each of the different fins. So it is possible that maybe for others, they're able to swim in the 2 or the 3 faster, but for me, I am personally fastest in the original Fantasea Fin. I hope all you mermaids and mermans and merpeople are mind blown by this, because so many of you were hating on the original Fantasea Fin for being too slow, when actually, it's the fastest. From my tests anyways, and you are welcome to do your own tests and let me know if you found the same thing or if you found something different. So overall for speed, they're almost exactly the same speed for all 3 fins. The biggest difference was between the original Fantasea Fin and the Fantasea Fin 2. I got there in over 1 second faster with the original than in the 2. But it's just over 1 second. So really, it's not a big difference at all. You should be able to go plenty speedy in any 3 of these fins, but I just wanted to prove that the original Fantasea Fin is fast. And the last thing you should take into consideration when deciding which Fantasea Fin is right for you is just the aesthetics. Which one do you like the best? So let's again talk about the original Fantasea Fin first. It is the smallest fin, and it is a very classic, pretty mermaid shape. You really can't go wrong with the shape of the original Fantasea Fin. I think that it can really appeal to anybody, but I think it does look a little disproportionate if you are someone who's, 6'5" or somewhere around that. Just because it is a smaller fin, and when you have longer legs, your mind would just think that the fluke would be more equal to the length of your legs, but that is totally just personal opinion, and I really don't think that matters at all. I, as a 5'6", average, sort of on the tall side, female, it works great for me personally. And yeah, I think that this fin shape can really appeal to everybody. And of course, if you're looking for a skin to go with the mono fin, at the time of this recording, there are 21 different skins available on the Mertailor website for the original Fantasea Fin. So there's lots of diversity there. There's some with fins and some without fins. I will say the original Whimsy skins, the ones that are a little older now, do have a more basic scale design than the ones that are made now. Now, this is still a lovely scale design. It's the one on my yellow tail. There's nothing wrong with it, but just keep that in mind that the newer designs do have more detailed scales as far as the skins go. Now on to the Fantasea Fin 2. So the Fantasea Fin 2, it really reminds me of like a lionfish or maybe a betta. It's very wide. It's almost like a square or like a rectangle out horizontally. It's a unique shape. I really like it. It's spiky. It, to me, is a little more masculine than the other 2 shapes, but don't get me wrong, it can totally work for anybody. It's like a warrior mer tail, in my opinion. There are currently 29 different Fantasea Fin skins available for the Fantasea Fin 2 at the time of this recording, so you do have 8 more skins to choose from over the original Fantasea Fin at this time. And again, you can get those skins with or without fins, and they are all stunning, so definitely take a look at all the skins and decide which one sings to your heart the most, and let that guide your choice as well. And last but not least, we have the Fantasea Fin 3, which, as I've said many times, it is the biggest fin. It's longer than the Fantasea Fin 2. It's very long and flowy and delicate, in my opinion. That's kind of how I see it. It's very magical and whimsical. I have the Sea Whip fluke on my Spellbound tail from Mertailor, and it kind of gives off similar vibes. They're still quite different, but it has the very long, flowy effect that a lot of Mers really, really love. At the time of this recording, there are a whopping 36 skins to choose from for the Fantasea Fin 3. So you've got the most options by quite a lot for the Fantasea Fin 3. there's actually 15 more Fantasea Fin 3 skins than original Fantasea Fin skins. So if you want the most options possible of mermaid tails to go with your monofin, the Fantasea Fin 3 takes the cake. It has the most skins available for it at the time of this recording. And by the time you see this, there might be a ton more skins for all of the different fins, and hey, there might even be another fin. But yeah, this is for right now, May 30th, 2020. So overall, all 3 of these fins are amazing. They're beautiful. I love to swim in them. I guess I should say my favorite. So my favorite fin on its own, especially just for a chill swimming sesh or working out, my favorite is the original Fantasea Fin. My second favorite is the Fantasea Fin 3, and my least favorite is the Fantasea Fin 2. And please let me know down in the comments below which of the Fantasea Fins are your favorite, if you have any of them, or if now maybe you are considering buying one after watching this video. Well, my fishies, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making this, and I really hope more than anything that it can help you out when you're trying to decide which Fantasea Fin is the right fin for you. Please consider subscribing if you like what you see, and don't forget to click the little bell notification button so that you get a notification every single time I post a new video. I try my very best to post a new video every single Friday-ish. Also, if you'd like to, you can follow me on Instagram at Mermaid Zelda and at Emma.Forth. And if you want to see lots of mermaid content and pictures of these fins and these tails, definitely follow Mermaid Zelda. But Emma Forth needs some love too, so just follow me on Instagram to stay up to date with my life and get lots of behind the scenes of all the different videos and things I'm getting up to. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing and for liking and for leaving your comments. I love you all so much. You are truly the best subscribers in the world, and I love interacting with you. So, please get in the comments, leave your thoughts, make some friends with each other, and I will see you all next week for a brand new video. Bye!